Hello and welcome to JagaVision, episode 22. Thursdays, 1 o'clock. We're bringing this to you every week for the last 22 weeks. Pretty awesome. I'm Jared Nyberg, co-owner of JagaSilk. You can check us out on our webpage, jagasilk.com, and check out shows that are coming up, shows that we've been doing on our YouTube channel that you're watching right now. Please click to subscribe and check out all our archived shows. Today is going to be pretty fun. We're going to have Beej on, Beej Dairy. He's with the good folks at Desert Bus for Hope. He also works with Loading Ready Run. He calls himself a crew member. He's going to be his official title. But as long as JagaSilk's been involved with Desert Bus, so is he. Desert Bus, really fascinating online charity. They started and are in Victoria. They've raised millions of dollars for Child's Play, which provides, at least as far as I understand it, toys for kids in Children's Hospital, or at least helps with Children's Hospitals, and pretty amazing work. You should check them out. It's every November that Desert Bus does their charity, and they always invite JagaSilk on to do a little bit of a demonstration with our matcha, and then we also supply their team with tea. We're the tea sponsors for the group, and really happy to work with them. Some really amazing work that they do. So yeah, Beej will be on at 1:20, as will Sherri Anne be joining us from Sister Speak. So yeah, looking forward to it. If you want to check out Desert Bus, go to Desert Bus for Hope. They're at Desert Bus for Hope, and if you want to check out Sister Speak, go to sisterspeakmusic.com. So as I always do during these sessions, I like to drink a tea that I've never had before. So today, I'm going to be doing a couple jade snails. These were sent to me by a farmer that we just started interacting with in Yunnan province, China. It could be good, could be not so good, who knows? Again, whenever I'm sent samples in the beginning, I often don't have any information. So if it's good, that's where this conversation starts, right? And if I can get a decent amount of information in terms of, what did this farmer use to, what cultivar did they grow? What were their, storage practices? What are their ethics? All of these different questions need to be asked. But it's kind of fun to just drink some tea without knowing any of that stuff at first, and then enhance your enjoyment with the information, right? So this is going to give me a sense of what they consider to be like their top end stuff versus their not so top end stuff. I'm going to do 3.5 grams, and I'm going to do 210 mils of 80 degrees centigrade water at 2 minutes. See what happens. It's kind of a fairly standard parameter for us. Already I'm seeing that the leaves for the grade 2 are noticeably larger. You can see them here. They're wound up nice and tight. This is a green tea. Sometimes people think that because it's all rolled up tight that we're dealing with oolong. So that's not what makes an oolong an oolong. What makes an oolong is how long you let the propyl oxidase enzyme do its magic on the leaves. For green tea, you want to freeze that propyl oxidase enzyme from doing very much at all by passing a significant amount of heat through the leaves within 24 hours of harvest. So yeah, smells really nice and let's get it in this toasty hot teapot and see what that does for the aromatics. Yeah, smells really pleasant. Not as aromatic. Number 1 smells amazing. So that's a great sign. Amazing is a great sign. So, gonna do 210. Starting that here. Nice to have your temperature variable kettle, but if you're brewing tea at home and you don't have one of these fancy newfangled devices, you're going to want to use the vessel transfer system. And every time you pass hot water from a room temperature vessel into a room temperature vessel, it's going to drop about 10 degrees centigrade every time. So rather than just using the same timer for both of these, I'm going to split it up. Doing cuppings, and it's not always that critical to use 2 different timers. You can always just stagger your brews. If you want 2 minutes, you could set it for 2 minutes and 15 seconds. It generally takes 15 seconds-ish to fill up one of these little guys, so I could cut the steep on one of them. 210. There we go. 7 ounces. Yeah, it smells lovely. I'm not getting much out of this guy in terms of nose. It might have a really fabulous flavor. It may not. We'll see how it goes. The cost is not significantly less. Well, I guess it is. It's 2/3. So, you know, what I do find a lot of times with parched greens, we have worked with a farmer near Yellow Mountain in Anhui, China, and she often sends us, like, you know, grade number 1, 2, 3, 4. We get to taste, like, her opinion of what, from her tea that she's producing, what she feels is top end and what she feels isn't so good. And I found that her top end stuff is really good, but it's so fragile, and I need to use such a high dose that it really becomes impractical to really work with on a cafe level. It might make sense in our reserve teas, but even then, just on a personal level, I like a little bit of toastiness to my parched greens. I like to be able to taste that craftsmanship of finish firing. I find it fascinating. But more recently, we've been doing some interesting cuppings with tencha, the raw material for matcha production. And we were tasting at the Friday cupping last week with the team, done with very careful COVID safety. That when you couldn't really taste that finish fire sort of Maillard reaction, there was a lot of interesting kind of raw complexity, and I think that there's a little bit of loss you incur by drawing out too much of those toasted sugars. They can kind of overpower complexity of flavor. But let's see how this goes. Two-handed technique, yo. Okay. And this smells kind of like snap peas, very vegetal. And yeah, I'm picking up some honey. That's interesting. A lot thinner than I expected. Probably I need to dose a lot higher for this. You know, in previous episodes, I've been really enjoying teas that we traditionally dose, say 3 grams for 180 mils. I've been making them Gong Fu style, where you do a full-on 5 or 6 grams for 150 mils. Something similar to, or a lot stronger than, the dose that we would use for, say, a sencha. I bet you that tea would benefit from a much higher dose, because there's potential in there, and the leaves look gorgeous and they smell amazing. So I think that's worth exploring a different brewing parameter than perhaps the standard I've been using internally for our parched greens from Anhui, which makes sense. Different region, different farmer, different cultivar, everything's different. You just got to start somewhere, right? Number 2. Yeah, I'm not tasting much interesting at all there. Tastes kind of dusty. There's a second note in there that reminds me of the first one there that has a little bit of that honey sweetness. But then it's gone. And then there's this kind of two-dimensional acidity. Yeah, it's really, really not that good. So let's just move on. And I'm kind of interested in doing this with you guys live, as just seeing if we can't brew that up a little bit better. It's that interesting. Give me a moment. Okay. So, pour that out. Let's see if I can't get a better infusion by brewing it stronger. Okay. So, we're going to, I think that 80-degree temperature was the right way to go. I think I'm pretty happy with that. Maybe 90 is going to be the way to go after I brew it a lot stronger. There's 6-ish grams. Want to be more accurate than that. .0 grams, excellent. Kind of don't want to drive yourself crazy with being over accurate on your your tea dosing, but you got to remember, like, this is a very small amount of botanical for a lot of flavor. So the difference of, like, say 0.3 grams of 6 grams is actually a pretty high percentage. Right? We're talking 5%. Okay, so 2 minutes. Shall we do 2 minutes? Shall we do a minute and a half? I'm gonna trust my instincts, and I'm gonna go with a minute and 15 seconds. And the reason I'm doing a minute 15 is just we had a really fascinating Longjing back in the day that I brewed up at minute 15 seconds, and that was just like bang on in terms of, a minute was a little weak, minute and a half was a little strong. I'm not loath to brew this up a little bit on the weak side so I can strengthen it a bit by cheating and pouring it back onto the leaves, just as I'm trying to dial it in. Obviously we want to do a straight line A to B on our extraction time rather than breaking it up in an ideal world, but when we're trying out a new tea, this is a nice way to do it. So again, yeah, really beautiful aromatics. I wonder if you can see it kind of gently opening up there in the teapot. It's looking really nice. The word snail is so interesting. Apparently it sounds beautiful in Chinese, whereas in English it's not really that exciting. Okay. In English, actually, snail sounds kind of gross. But I've kind of gotten used to it. There's a black snail that's like a beautiful crimson tea, aka black tea. Jade snail is obviously the production equivalent in the genre of green teas. That smells like cotton candy now. I love it when I get that aromatic. Let's see what happens. How is that? How is that? Yeah. It's a lot more interesting. I think I need to find somewhere in between. Maybe I need to do, like, instead of a 3 gram dose for 180 mils or a 6 gram dose for 180 mils, let's try purposely making that a little strong. So again, this is cheating. You don't want to do this, especially with guests, drinking out of your cup and then throwing it back in top of the tea leaves. Not very exciting at the best of times. So we're going to do 15 seconds-ish. Change it to 12 seconds. Let's see. Because it's opening up, like now, and it wasn't really looking that
open before. Those leaves are so tiny. Really nice, complete bud sets, and that is exciting. And a bud set being your 2 leaves in a bud. There's a good amount of bud content in here. And that, I think, is making a difference for some really nice and rich flavors. Rich, is rich the right word? I don't know. Smooth. Let's go smooth. Complex. There, okay, really interesting nose now. Yeah, so I brought out a little bit too much tannin now. So I think that doing it at 1.5 minutes, and then maybe instead of, meet somewhere in the middle between 3 and 6, so maybe 4.5 grams for 1.5 minutes is going to make it taste good. Or you could do a really high dose, like much higher than this, and drop your brew time down to like 15 seconds. Totally an option. That, again, is Gong Fu style. But I really like to be able to make it this way for my parched greens. I'm more prone to experiment with oolongs being made in the Gong Fu style, but when I'm working with a green, I enjoy it with gentler, longer extractions. Yum. Okay. So we are on Twitch for the 3rd time this week. So the 3rd time since we started JagaVision. So episode 20 onwards has been on Twitch as well. So if you want to catch us on there, it's twitch.tv/JagaSilk, which is fun. Yeah, this is tasting good. I'm into this. So Beej and Sherri Anne should be joining us momentarily. We're expecting them around 1:20. We're going to be drinking a beautiful Qimen Feng using the Chuyazong cultivar. And just interacting with that. That's really good. Actually, I think I like it strong. Maybe minute 15 was too weak. Minute and 30 was too... I don't know. I don't know the right response here for making that taste good. See, teas are almost always not nearly as enjoyable when you first start drinking them. If I had dialed in this tea and I found my favorite brewing parameter and I go back to it and start brewing it, that's so much more, I guess, more enjoyable? It's more predictable. I know what I'm getting, but there's something really interesting about this search. Like, how do I find that ideal brewing parameter? Playing around with really your 4 variables, right? You want to weigh your tea, you want to weigh your water, you want to control your water temperature, and your extraction time. There's a lot more to it than that, but those are some very basic variables. And if you can have those under control and just kind of play around with one of them, try not to play around with too many at the same time, otherwise you don't really have a leg to stand on in terms of delivering on your flavor ideals. I find with a lot of parched greens, when I brew at 70, I get more protein, but I lose a lot of the aromatics. And when I brew at 90, I get very perfumey tea, but it doesn't have any texture to it. Kind of seems to break apart the proteins that are going to give me more of a silky texture. So I really enjoy parched greens this way. And again, the difference between a parched green and a steamed green, in Japan, steamed greens are the norm. And that's when they're hitting the Camellia sinensis leaves within 23 hours of harvest with a blast of steam. And that's going to freeze that PPO enzyme, and you're going to have this really rich and beautiful tea. And you got spinach-like quality we associate with our Japanese greens. Whereas in China, by far the norm is to well, not steam, but to parch. They do still steam, but it's very few and far between. And you get this more like thirst-quenching green. So I'm getting some
action on my phone here. Wonder if we're having trouble again this week with the invite's not getting out. Oh, here we are. Okay, great. Is that Beej?
It is Beej.
Amazing. Welcome to JagaVision.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Awesome. We have somebody telling me maybe I'm doing something wrong with my Twitch stream. Anyway, welcome on. This is my third time ever multi-streaming to Twitch at the same time as YouTube. So people watching, please forgive me. Beej, thank you for coming on. Really good to see you. I guess this is our fourth or fifth time meeting each other.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
it's like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, what an unusual moment. Hey, we're both like awake.
Yeah.
Are you currently conscious?
I am very awake. I've been busy so far because I was over at the moon base just recently recording Checkpoint because now we're able to sit 6 feet apart.
Moon base?
Oh, right. There's a whole bunch of things I haven't explained. So,
okay.
Hi,
Yes.
I'm Beej, to anyone who's not familiar with me. My Brendan Beej Deary. Everyone just calls me Beej. I'm the business manager for Loading Ready Run, and I'm a crew member as well. And we call our office the Moon Base.
Amazing.
It's in downtown Victoria.
Is it anti-gravity? Like, do you float when you enter said moon base?
It is not. It orbits underground inside the moon, so it generates its own gravity.
Ah, amazing. Okay.
It's the tip-top technology.
Yeah, we've managed that over here as well. From time to time.
And so I was over there recording Checkpoint, which is one of the several shows that we do. We used to, when the COVID lockdown happened, we had to do this all from home.
Right.
And but now we've been able to move that back into our office.
Okay.
And so it's been really good. But it's like I had to run over there, record that. We're currently my wife Heather, who's one of our editors and content managers. She's editing Checkpoint right now. To put up on our YouTube channel later, which is youtube.com/loadingreadyrun.
Okay. Yeah.
So I had to run all the way back here so I could be on the show for this, and then realize that I'm like, oh right, damn, I didn't have my whole setup ready.
Oh, geez. So it was a little bit of a frantic.
Yeah, it's kind of running around and getting
fair.
it right.
No,
so,
that's why I start my live show at 1 p.m. ish, because the ish allows me that wiggle room for when it's like, oh, right, yeah, need that, and then get it. For our viewers who haven't met Beej, again, you've explained a little bit about what you do, but Beej is part of a company based in Victoria, Loading Ready Run. You should totally check them out. They produce lots of really interesting content online. We got involved with their charity project, Desert Bus for Hope, where they play the world's worst video game, a bus traveling across the Nevada desert, right?
Yep.
In real time, that veers slowly to the left, and you correct your course as you're going, and there and back again is 1 point. You crash once and you start at the beginning. It's mind-numbing, right? So
it absolutely is, yeah.
And then, but you've raised millions of dollars for children's charities, and Sister Speak has joined us. Sherri Anne, welcome to JagaVision. Thank you for coming on again.
Hello.
Awesome.
Hello.
We're just introducing Beej a bit here. So Beej, this is Sherri Anne. Sherri Anne, this is Beej. I was just I was explaining that Beej is part of an incredible charity that's raised millions of dollars for children, called Desert Bus, playing the worst video game ever invented, and people watching actually donate money to sadistically have them
keep us playing the game.
Yeah, but the cost of keeping them playing the game keeps continuing, and we are tea sponsors for their crew, and they're lovely people. They've let us come on the air and share our teas with them, and we like to do it in the very early morning, like 3 or 4 in the morning, to power them with matcha, because they do it for like a week straight playing this game. I mean, they do it in shifts, etc. But it's amazing to watch, and it's what year are you guys in?
Oh God, we stopped counting.
Yeah.
I think back in 2017.
Right.
So it's just like has it been 13 years, 14 years, something like that? I know we've raised over $5 million for the Child's Play charity. I think we're very close to 6.
Amazing.
And I'm sure there are people in the chat who are probably going to just tell me that, that it's like, no, Beej, you've raised this much money so far. I'm like, I can't keep it straight.
Yeah,
So.
they're saying a week straight, 24 hours a day. So some pretty amazing. Some pretty amazing stuff. And for those watching, Sherri Anne is the lead singer of Sister Speak. You can check her out on sisterspeakmusic.com. She has a live performance she does before us, and I'm always on her show a little bit. There's a little bit of nepotism in that she is my sister, but she's a career musician, does hundreds of shows, has opened up for some very powerful acts, and has 3 albums. Just released a live album with some get some nice radio play. And I love your NPR performance that you posted fairly recently, that you recorded pre-COVID, and generally based in California, but she's moved to Vancouver Island as of just a couple weeks ago. So,
oh wow,
yeah, pretty excited to have her around. She's gonna be a big part of we're putting on every Friday Jaga Silk starting next week. We are reopening for to-go service for the first time since the pandemic. Very carefully cordoned off screens and the whole, like, we're going over. We want to do like everything to the nth degree with COVID safety, but we're also going to have screens between a live performance and tables that we're selling by the bubble that are going to be available on Fridays 12 to 4 starting next week. So just getting that out there as well. So anyway, very happy to have both you guys on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So lovely to meet you. I've heard all about the desert bus. It's so cool.
It's one of those things that sticks. Thank you, Sherri.
You should also check out the work of Loading Ready Run, Sherri Anne. They've got just a fantastic. I've seen some of the shows. Serge is involved with Loading Ready Run, and he's also on Desert Bus, and he was on the show. I think episode like 6 or 7, fairly early on. You would have met Serge. Do you remember Serge?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So. Yeah, awesome.
He's like model handsome.
Model handsome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's a little bit too much fun. A little bit too much fun. So yeah.
Yes.
And so.
Sorry, in between statements, I'm having this soup I put in the crock pot last night.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, you start. I think your day at 11, and you basically live show to live show. And I don't think you have much room to eat.
Yeah.
Well, at any rate, you want to tell us a little bit of. So you were telling us, Beej, about I guess what Loading Ready Run has done in interacting with the pandemic. So you guys, you took everything back to your homes, and then you're able to bring everything back to what you guys call the moon base.
Yeah, it's so Loading Ready Run's whole thing is that we do comedy, light entertainment. That's our jam. Mm-hmm. And pre-COVID, we have an office, we have 3 studios, we have production editing facilities as well, and so we're streaming, playing video games, and we're also doing podcasting and stuff out of our office. You bring a bunch of people in and sit, or in one of our studios to do podcasting. We would play board games and tabletop games and Magic the Gathering. Mm-hmm. We do a live variety show, very Saturday Night Live kind of esque thing, but not like a dozen sketches kind of back to back. Mm-hmm. But we do that every month. And when the pandemic hit, we were like, everyone just kind of like hold your breath for a second, because are we going to have to leave? Is there a problem in BC? What's happening on Vancouver Island? Because we don't know yet. And then the moment the BC government said, we're going to have to go into lockdown, we were all like, okay, well, time to enact this plan that we talked about. And it turned into just everyone goes home. A lot of us have home streaming setups because there's not only is Loading Ready Run streaming on Twitch, but a lot of people within the organization are streaming their own video game playing on Twitch as well.
Right.
Alternate sources of income, right? And yeah. And so we had all these setups, and we're like, there's probably a way for us to leverage this. And one of our co-presidents, Loading Ready Run, the 2 presidents of Loading Ready Run are Graham Stark and Paul Saunders, and one of our two co-presidents, Paul, was like, I think there's a way we can start organizing everybody so we can bring people in on multiple streams at the same time. And we started using things like Google Hangouts, and then later Google Meet, and then we tried Zoom briefly, and now we're on to a process involving a product called OBS Ninja, which
crazy.
just
Okay.
yeah, and it just allows us to send our video and audios directly to Paul's house, and then Paul takes all that and he mixes it together into like 9 or 10 people at the same time on screen, and then we can play games that way. So it's taken a lot of interesting setup. Yeah, but what it's meant is that we've now been able to do, like, just last night we played Jackbox games. So like You Don't Know Jack and Fibbage and all those kind of things.
Okay.
8 of us were able to play that. 4 of our friends from the United States were able to get in on that with us. We could all stream and we could all kind of equally be visible playing the games together. And it's led to this odd take on what you can do with entertainment and comedy. And it means that we can't film each other live, but it does mean that we can find ways to entertain people live. And that still has been good for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm actually experiencing something very similar, for sure. You know, like for us, it was like the tea festival was supposed to happen. The Victoria Tea Festival was supposed to happen the week before, like the weekend before. They said, yeah, groups over 50 events banned, and never heard that language before. But it was like the BCCDC said that, and we were like, okay, so that needs to be not happening. And then closed down the tea bar, and again, we haven't been open since then for drink service. But you know, it's been such an interesting learning experience. Like Serge was really helpful in helping me learn a little bit about what it would mean to set up a system so that I could do this show, which I'd always wanted to do. And it's been really added something to look forward to every week, is having these amazing guests on, having these really great conversations, drinking some amazing tea together. You know, having Sherri Anne on every week, I see more of my sister than I have in the last 15 years. So
yeah.
It's kind of weird how it just gives you the excuse to, like, well, I know I'm locked in this position, but now I have time to do these other things.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Like, I feel like you'd think I would be just all like, I don't know, just kind of bummed out about it. And I think there was a time in the beginning where I was like really freaking out, and trying to just, you know, it's gonna be okay, Jared, you know, but like on a subconscious level, I was like, no idea what to expect. Is this the end of the world kind of thing? Are we gonna, you know, wake up and zombies have taken over or whatever? But the corona zombie. But it's been interesting, you know. Like, I think that that we've come out of it, and I don't know, for me and for many people that I've talked to, they've explored and found things about themselves that perhaps they were not aware of, right? So,
well, and imagine if this had happened 20 years ago, when we didn't have all of this technology and all of the e-commerce stuff, and being able to do order by mail and being able to like shop online.
Totally.
And it would have been an absolute like it's crippling enough as it is in a lot of different ways, but at least there's, you know, people have been able to bounce back and respond a bit.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's been really, really, really nice. And I mean, Sherri Anne, you had your adventure leaving California, as they had a really interesting memo go out to everybody, a rule or demand, which was shelter in place.
Yeah.
You know, which we haven't had. We've had a lockdown. You know, stay home unless you really have to go. But shelter in place is a little bit of a different animal, right? That's like...
Yeah, and even when we had the lockdown, like, stuff was still open, like, for to-go service.
Really? Okay.
And I don't even think did they call it a lockdown in Canada? I don't even know.
I think it was not the technical name. I think it was kind of the colloquial name for what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder what people did in 1918 during the flu, the Spanish flu, because, like, there wasn't all this technology back then, but there were a lot of deaths and actually... I think it was something around 500 to 600,000 in the States.
Oh, woof.
Wow.
They didn't even have the population they have
tragic
now.
Yeah. So percentage-wise, that's just crazy. And the Spanish flu was hitting an age group that was, you know, the ones that are kind of flouting it right now. That 20 to 30-year-old age group. That was the kind of big big victims of the Spanish flu. And who knows? It might
That's
be
right.
moving forward, right? If they're
Yeah.
not, if they continue to not be careful. I know we're talking pandemic, and
Yeah.
this is important to continue this this conversation. I do want to, but I figured that while we're talking, we could also be making tea.
Yes.
Great.
Okay.
I got my scale again.
Okay, so we're gonna be having a Qimen Chuyazong, and this is a very delicate tea. It's part of our reserve teas. This is gonna be made available on the webpage next week. So this is kind of a sneak preview. These leaves are freaking gorgeous. Look at those. This is for the audience, and then for you guys, obviously you have them, but like, you smell them. And don't they smell like roses and vanilla and malt and sugar and like, it's just insane.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Really crack this open here.
Oh,
Should I tear it?
you can tear it. Yeah, you can tear it. Yeah, sorry, did I not? Did I give you a tin?
Yeah, I have a tin, but I also have there's the pack in the tin, so I'm just trying to.
You may need to open it like a chip bag.
Oh yeah, oh that would have actually should have done that. That would have been a great idea. There. Well, it's.
Awesome. Yeah, I know.
Oh wow.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that insane?
Mm.
Look at how tiny
Wow.
those leaves are too, eh? That's a very early pick of Camellia sinensis. So yes, so we were. I do want to talk about this tea, but I don't want to like stop that conversation mid talk. We're just experiencing a really intense time. But Sherri Anne, you've managed to kind of, I guess for you, musicians in general, it's just like you just can't do what you were doing, period. Even more so than Jaga Silk, who still has online sales, and some of our cafes with their to-go service, we can supply them. But you are like in an interesting position. I guess it's songwriting time and live stream learning time, and I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, for now, it's okay. It's interesting because, like, I guess I'm just, I was on a trajectory to come home to Canada more often already.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the hardest part is, actually, no, I've had more time to think. But yeah, I mean, the hardest part is the tours all being canceled. At the same time, it is nice to stay local. Like, there's a lot of lessons in this. Like, I do want to be playing local more often and then more concentrated tours now.
And I guess you get
Once this comes.
yeah, and getting to pause. I guess everybody gets this 2 years to just kind of chill for a moment. I mean, assuming the pandemic lasts 2 years, hopefully not. But they're saying we gotta kind of plan around that. Hey.
Well, and some people though, like, I think are working even more to try and save their businesses, which is really tough too. Like, I feel bad sometimes that I'm not like working 20 hours a day, you know?
Yeah. No, I hear you.
But I am working really hard at the same time. Like, I haven't really, I guess because I've been an independent musician and like had to like kind of been down to the wire so many times that like I think you kind of like make the best of every situation if you can.
Totally.
So
yeah, and
I don't feel like my whole life was destroyed, you know?
I've heard that from a lot of small business owners. It's a very elastic feeling. It's like, okay, I've been here before. I'm going to go back to where I was a little while ago, but I've put in a lot of structure so that when I am ready to kind of move things forward again, we're going to be okay. And I want to say, Beej, that camera looks pretty rad. Is that?
Oh, thank you very much.
Wow.
It is upside down at the moment. But I mean, you probably can't tell anyway. My hand's coming in from this side, but yes, I should have turned the mat around.
One of the chat says, "Loving the play mat, Beej."
Yeah,
it's good. It's good. This is, what are you smelling there? Are you getting any of that rose and vanilla, and sugar?
I'm definitely getting the sweet and the vanilla scent off of it. Definitely.
Isn't that cool that it's not been scented, but
Oh
it
my
just
God.
naturally produces these complex aromatics?
It's like the most fragrant tea that I think, like the most like sweet fragrance, Camellia sinensis, that
Yeah.
I think I've
That you've had.
experienced on
Huh.
this show.
We're gonna do boiling water on this, guys. So
Okay.
this is a very deeply withered tea. It's gonna require boiling water. So try and get it as hot as you can before you start pouring on it. I want you to do I mean, the package tells you what to do: 3 grams, 180 mils. But you could do 4 grams, 240. You could do 2 grams and 60. Really, brewing enough to fill your teapot is ideal. I'm working with a little 6-ounce teapot. So I'm going to do 3 grams, 180. You can do that too if it's just what you want to drink. This is kind of a standard cup size in Japan. I really enjoy, and in Europe, they like the 4 to 6 ounce cups. I'm going to do 180 grams over 3 grams of tea. The moment that the water hits the tea, I want you to press go on the timer. And then you're going to have...
How many milliliters, sorry?
You're going to have 3.5 minutes. 180 mils over 3 grams.
Okay, if I'm doing 2 grams, you said 60 or 100?
Sorry, 180 milliliters over 3 grams of tea.
I'll be right back while I reboil my water.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, we did go on a little bit of a dialogue there for a bit. So can imagine your water is no longer as hot as it was when we started.
I'm going to get my boiling water.
So, yes, this is alchemy. Chat room person is mentioning this is having a drink becomes arcane alchemy. Yes, it's a little bit of a science experiment here at JagaSilk. One of the things that we're doing when we are making our tea is we're going to try and dial in kind of degrees centigrade. We want to understand a little bit more about our like the weight of tea, and there's a big influence that happens by adjusting those variables, like I was saying in the opening of the show. So just a little bit of like a gram here, like you think, oh, it's like 4 grams instead of 3 grams. It doesn't seem like a big deal. It's only 1 gram. But if you think about it in percentages, that's like 25%. So it makes a big difference in your end flavor. So being able to control that a bit, it does make a difference. So yeah, I really am a big believer in high resolution scales, 0.1 gram at a minimum, and brewing with temperature control and timers. So where are we at? Did I lose everybody? Is this everybody running and grabbing stuff that they're missing? We don't have Beej. We don't have Sister Speak. Okay, this is all good. This is hilarious, actually. We have a... Why don't we go... There we go. Make me bigger. So I'm going to smell this as I'm brewing. Yeah, getting some pretty beautiful sugarcane characteristics. Okay. And then this is going to be ready in about 1 minute and 20 seconds, so I'm going to be a little bit of ahead of the game. We are back. This is...
I'm just getting my boiled water.
Aha, okay. Yeah, I think we're all in the same boat. I lost you and Beej there at the same moment. It was pretty funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I didn't realize it. And I was
that's
like,
too funny.
Yeah, no, it works out. It's good. So, do you have a preheated teapot, or what are you brewing with over there? Sister Speak. You got a mason jar?
Yeah, I have
I returned.
I actually have this.
You want to hold? We're kind of losing you there. Oh, okay, awesome. You were switching the camera around. Okay, that makes sense. Cool. So you're gonna be brewing in a measuring cup.
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. And Beej, you've returned.
I'll warm up the... It's boiling water.
Uh-huh.
I have the kettle boiling.
Lovely. Okay, cool.
So I preheated the measuring cup.
Nice. Good go. So
This is the soup, by the way, the crock pot.
For the viewers, I'm using it's a Fellow kettle. It's one of my favorites. It's temperature variable. Lets me have a lot of control, like exact temperature control. But if you want to brew at home, crimson teas are kind of your friend, because you don't need a temperature variable kettle, because boiling water is 100. Unless you're in a high elevation, you need to understand that your temperature will not boil. Would probably damage it if it did.
Yeah, so it's
It's all good. Yeah. Viewers, if you have a plug for temperature vessel, and it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. The connection. So apologies about that. It was saying that it needed to recalibrate, and it was a little doing some fun spinny stuff, but it seemed to have got it under control. 3.5 minutes. remind you, there seems to be some issues with my stream today. Seems to be loading and getting very choppy, and then it gets okay, and then it's bad again. So I don't know what's happening there. Just for our viewers, I'm using a multi-stream system on Streamlabs OBS as my background broadcaster, and it's the third time I've done it, and it could be that I just don't have the upload power to be able to run this properly. So if that happens and I'm unable to upload to Twitch next week, I apologize in advance. We're going to keep try and resolve the problem in the meantime, but hopefully things have figured itself out. So Sherri Anne, you're almost done your extraction there?
Do this matcha kind of bowl thing here.
Amazing. Okay. Don't you smell like cooked yam in there, the wet fragrance? Can you hear me okay, Beej?
I can hear you great. Yes.
Okay. All right. Excellent. I think it might be that Sherri Anne has a choppy internet connection, and that's why she can hear us, but we're going in and out of being able to hear her, and at the same time, I'm having issues with my stream. Oh, there she is. She's back again. Okay. Awesome.
Oh.
Yeah, we keep losing ya. I don't know what's going on.
Sorry, I don't know why.
You don't need to apologize. I'm sure it's just some sort of internet craziness. So what are we smelling in the nose?
Definitely fall.
Fall. You're smelling fall. Excellent. Okay. Do you pick up on the yam? You smelling any yam?
A little bit, yeah. And pecan?
Pecan. Yeah, something like a cooked pecan. Beej, where are we at in the process? Have we started the brew?
No, but I'm gonna do that now based on what I have. I don't know why it's boiling in my microwave, or at least it's bubbling a lot. I put a chopstick in there so that it wouldn't like superheat the water.
Yeah, 100%.
But what I'm pulling out is like still like 80 degrees Celsius. If that's not going to get all the nice aromatics and stuff out, I can go back to my boiler and see what it can give me, because it probably will give me 95 degrees, and that's probably closer.
Why don't we go with the hotter water temperature? Let's go with that, the one out of the boiler.
Cool. Be right back.
You're amazing, man. Thank you. Okay.
I think it has better flavor too. I find microwave water tastes kind of funny.
Yeah, and Beej, one of the chat people is saying it could be your temperature probe. Oh, we lost him. Okay. Yeah, it could be. I mean, that's good to remember. Sometimes when we're measuring water temperature, like boiling water can't be lower. Like it can't be like it's 100 degrees because it's boiling, right? Especially at this elevation. So yeah, that's delicious. It kind of reminds me of potato chips.
It's like a full-out summer day out here.
In a weird way.
Yeah, kind of.
But like a really delicious sugary potato chip. I'm tasting potato chips here, Beej. This is what's happening. It's potato chips in a cup.
I'm so jealous. I haven't gotten a chance to do any of this yet.
Yeah, you're gonna get there. All right, so we got this. We got
3 minutes 30. Okay.
3 grams in a preheated teapot. We're gonna dump in 180 grams of water. What's nice, everybody, is that you can use a measuring cup, and you can totally use volume for your water, even though it's not as accurate as weighing it. But really highly recommend weighing at least your tea. And then, hottest water you can for this particular tea. What's cool about this, so this is from a farmer named Mr. Feng. We were sent a number of his samples this year. And this particular one, speaking of kind of, I don't know if opportunities is the right way to talk about it, but direction changes that have happened because of the pandemic. One of the things we've been able to do is focus on some passion projects that we've wanted to focus on for a long time. And one of the things that we've wanted to do for a long time is release a line of reserve teas, like blow your mind, freaking amazing teas. There's no way we could convince, well, maybe some cafe owners would be into it, but many of them are just going to be like, you know what, man, $18 a cup, it's not going to happen, right? And, $24 a cup for this Gyokuro we have on our reserve line, which came in 16th place in the country from Japan. at the national competition. And then this particular Qimen, this is up there. This is one of those like amazingly. Sherri Anne, you remember that Zaidaishu, the crimson tea, the Kolcha Zaidaishu that we had with Mackie, the teapot expert?
Oh yeah.
So that was a reserve tea as well. And then the Gyokuro that we had with the owner of O5 Tea really early on in JagaVision, the guy from in Vancouver. Yeah, that was the one that came in 16th place. And so this is just, just a really, really beautiful tea that we wouldn't have been able to give sort of the infrastructure, or like the structural support to be able to release on our online page just because we didn't have the time. And so what's happened with COVID is it's opened up time to be able to really share some of these really beautiful selections that we've been able to come in, that we've always intended to do, but we're unable to do so. And this show is a really, I was saying it already, it's a good case in point. Never had the time, even though I really wanted to make something like this happen. And so it's been offering some interesting challenges, but also some interesting opportunities, sure, you know? So. So where are we at, Beej? We've started the brew.
Yeah, I have started the brew, and we're about a minute. So I have 2:20 remaining.
Okay, all right. I think do I lose you in 4 minutes, or do we get you a little longer?
Oh, you get me longer. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
We're gonna. I'm here. We're gonna make this work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. We're getting lots of advice on how you could get your temperature where you want it, like a burner, boiling water on a. Some people said maybe your temperature probe was broken or like inaccurate because boiling water is 100.
Right, exactly. Like no matter what, you know that it's like if it boils, it's 100, and it would have been done. And I should have just like I should have done that because to boil normally it's like I wouldn't put water in the microwave to boil it. I just assumed to be faster. But yeah, I should have probably just put it on a saucepan and let it boil, and I could have checked my probe against that, and I would have known for sure if it was working or not.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all good. We figured it out. We have it going. So, no, we're good. One thing that people may not know is that Jaga Silk also, we get our teas directly from the farmers. So it's nice to be able to reduce that carbon footprint by having this direct from farm to Jaga Silk to your cup kind of scenario. So this is another one of those examples. But I was just talking about the reserve teas while you were gone. One of them I was talking about was the Kolcha Zaidaishu that actually my wife and I, Mew and I, when we went to Japan, we actually helped to harvest the leaves with the farmers. And then we got to be a part of that enzymatic oxidation, that production of turning it from the raw leaf all the way through to what we call a black tea in North America, or it's called a crimson tea at origin. And so that was so fascinating. So now, as a result of that process, I'm constantly talking to farmers and asking them, you know, how did you produce this flavor profile? What is your percentage of moisture loss in stage 1 of the withering process? You know, it's just so fascinating to hear. You know, some people are measuring everything, like these people in Mandokoro, where they have this old analog scale where they put their harvest, weigh it, put it in like raised beds and like blow air at it to like release, get a bunch of moisture out, and then they weigh it again, and say if you started with like 20 kilograms, and then you weigh it and you get 18 kilograms, that means you have 10% moisture loss, right? So they'll wait until they get to 30% moisture loss before they start putting it into the tea rolling machine that'll roll it, and then they put it into a fermentation room where they keep it at like a fairly warm temperature for a decent amount of time until it loses maybe, you know, another 20% of its moisture, and then they're gonna cook it slowly so that it browns, and then they're going to finish with a fairly hot heat, and you get this complete beautiful tea. But some places they're just winging it. This whole process is done by touch and feel and smell, and it's just so interesting to see places that create beautiful teas without measuring anything. So.
Yeah. The intuitive measure. I actually do that quite a bit still, even though.
Well, I mean, like on the farm level, like with production, right?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sherri Anne, smell the wet leaves when you're done that extraction. Do you smell the rose? I'm really picking up rose in this tea.
That's what it is. It smells like a flower garden.
Yeah, right? A little bit of like...
I put my headphones in. I hope I didn't make it too loud because there's a lot of noise going on.
No, that's great. No, actually we can hear you more clearly now.
Oh, I
Okay.
should have done that first.
Beej gets to join this
Finally, yeah.
this aromatic exploration. The flavor.
Okay, how do you spell it?
B-E-E-G. Sorry, J.
J.
Why
Yeah.
did I say
B-E-G. B-E-E-J.
Beej.
Beej.
Yeah,
I love it.
B-E-E-J, yeah.
B-E-E-J.
It's not my real name, it's just a nickname, but it's what everyone knows me by, so.
Why Beej?
So when I came home from the hospital, my brother, who was only a couple years older than me, couldn't say Brendan.
Okay.
He kept stumbling on that, and so my dad was like, "Oh, we'll just call him Beej.
Nice.
Call him BJ. Those are his initials." And my brother's like, "Okay." And my mom's like, "He has a beautiful name. It's Brendan. Don't give him a nickname." And within 4 days of them calling me BJ, my mother was calling me BJ, and that's just how it's been my entire life. So, and so you can't have a nickname without a nickname. So then my grandfather started calling me Beej, and it was like, okay, well then that's what it is. And what's funny about the nature of like nicknames and even just names in general, I think, is that there's it is that kind of like what's in a name.
Yeah.
You know, any other rose or a rose by any other name would be just as sweet, and it's that kind of sense of sometimes like name, like to me it's like names and labels become really important. So what you call something or how you refer to something is very important, because if somebody calls me Brendan, I know that's somebody that I've never met before, or it's somebody I work with in a professional capacity.
That's really interesting. Okay, I had no idea what your quote unquote real name was, so it's interesting. I've met you at Desert Bus. Everybody was calling you Beej, so it's. We're partaking. I know you're about to say something, Sherri Anne. I'm curious though.
But
flavor. What are we tasting?
Oh yes, please. I'm so wanting to know. The moment we've been waiting.
It's. I think I might have gone a little long because there is like a lot of tannin in it. But
oh really? Okay. Did we do 3.5 minutes?
I did do 3.5. I might have gone like another like 20 seconds too long, I guess, because I was trying to get it out of my pot, and I'm like, oh, I probably just left it too long. But it's like
go ahead.
There's lots of God, because the vanilla and sugary scent is just kind of gone to me now. It's just kind of like it's like a very dark, round, toasty flavor.
I think yam. I think toasted potato. I think like kind of like the sugary kind of sweetness from a potato when you cook it is what I'm tasting when I have.
I'm tasting that too, like from a soup.
Yeah, you know, it's got this really kind of brothy, almost like onion syrup thing happening.
You know? Oh yeah, you know, I'm not getting that kind of sweetness anymore. No, I think I made it too long.
You know, why don't you?
I have more, so I'm gonna try again.
So you're gonna be okay.
Yeah, you know, I think I almost went too long. Like I was like 10 seconds over, and it has like a tiny bit of tannin.
Okay, I mean, we do want a little bit of tannin. We want some for flavor structure, but we definitely don't want it to be overwhelming. And again, your water source could be slightly different. The way that your water, like say if it's reverse osmosis water. Or if it's if it's a particularly different type of water, it could also extract different flavor components out of the tea that are different from what Sherri Anne and I are tasting. So it could be more than the length of time. But the good news is, if it's tasting like you've just overstrengthed it, maybe the I don't know, the scale was giving you a hard time or something.
Maybe that might have been why too, because I was noticing it was like I would be like, oh look, I'm within like a tenth of a gram, and then I added some more to it, and then it jumped like 0.4 of a gram, and I'm like, okay, no, take some of that out, of that out, you know.
So scales like to get used to your room kind of thing. It's possible that what you could do is you could post dilute a little bit, so you could just add a little bit of water. And if you've made it too strong by accident, a little bit of post-dilution, like maybe like a centimeter, like just a little blop of water, and it's going to make all the difference in the world for overall enjoyment of the liquid. Has that made a difference?
That helps a lot, actually, yeah.
Cool. So, you know, it's kind of funny. We weigh everything out. We're so careful. We measure temperature. We measure weight. But if one of our tools is not completely accurate, it's nice to be able to have some some wiggle room so that you can interact with the flavor and you can draw out something a little bit more enjoyable if things have gone into left field a little bit, right? But you should be able to, if it's kind of tempered it down, maybe you can start to pick up some of that potato.
I might just have to put a little bit more in. It's very it's very different than like you go to a Chinese restaurant and just get your standard oolong whatever, right?
Right.
And it's just like that's really how different like a cultivar or any sort of varietal, how it just is like, yeah, we made it in this way and it comes from this land, and so therefore the flavor that it picks up from the land and that it expresses in the way it's been fermented is going to be that much different than just, it's all from the same tea plant, right?
Yes, yeah. So it's there's going to be some similarities for sure. And then what is even the point really though, like is of being careful. A lot of farmers we visit are not weighing their tea. They're not controlling temperature. They're not doing any of these things. But a lot of the tea, like the tea schools, are definitely going to do that. And any farmer that's gone to like a tea school to learn is definitely using scales. And they're going to be careful. And they're going to try and create something fairly consistent. It doesn't mean, though, that the tea that you have at, say, a Chinese restaurant or at a space where it's a little bit more of an intuitive process, it doesn't make that bad or wrong.
Right.
It just means that it's just not, it's just a different way of interacting with tea. I like to, go ahead. Sorry.
I did at the tail end of my mug there, realize that I could now smell the yam like you're talking about.
Cool.
Because when you were saying it before, I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm not getting any yam off of this or potato or anything. But then I like take a deep breath and I'm like, it's like when I had the matcha at Desert Bus where you're like, now breathe in through your nose. And I'm, fill your mouth with oxygen from another area. Oh, you can start to detect it all. Oh, yeah, there it is.
That's actually an interesting point because, there's a couple things that can happen too. Is like if somebody like throws a tasting note at you, you kind of ask yourself like, I want to be honest here. I don't want to just have a placebo where like the flavor is not, it's not, I don't want to just agree because the person says it's there. But if it is truly there, I kind of want to participate and I want to taste it. And if you want to taste it, a really good way to pick up on that is definitely take a little sip, hold it on your tongue. And this might be a good time to start the second infusion. And then when it's sitting on your tongue, if you blow a little air out your nose and hold your breath for just a moment, so it's like on tongue, hold breath. It's gonna make all those aromatics go into your retro or factory senses, the smelling sensors behind your nose, and that's the most sophisticated tasting equipment that your body has, right? So
if you don't have a sense of smell, you can't taste as well. Yeah,
it's something like 75 or 80%. I can't remember how huge it is, but it's a fairly noticeable amount of your tasting ability is all wrapped up in what you smell.
So if I'm going to do a second infusion, I'm going to have to go get more water. I'll be right back.
Sure.
I'm here, but can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you now. I can't see you.
Oh, really? Really? I don't know why. Sorry, my computer just
Let's just take that.
has decided that it doesn't want to allow anything. Any camera access or
anything, hey? Huh.
Yeah, it's really odd.
That is weird. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. And
yeah,
it says that somebody named Heather? Oh, weird. I've never had a hangout with somebody random that is joining in.
Yeah, I saw Heather as well.
That's so odd. That's kind of funny. Is this like a Google Hangout glitch? Wow, today has just been way too much fun. Hello, Heather. Are you joining us for tea?
Where is Heather?
There we go. Beej.
DC.
Beej is Heather. Heather is Beej's wife.
Beej
Okay, thank you. Beej's wife is. Okay, now I get it. Okay, so what's happened here is that Beej had set up another camera. And I guess what he'd done is he wanted an overhead camera, and he probably so that you could see the the basically what his station, and to us it looks like another person on the Hangouts call in the background because
Yeah.
that's really fun.
Hi, Heather.
Yeah. Hi, Beej. We were trying to figure out while you were gone who Heather is, and we realized now that was your other camera, and we thought we were being
invaded.
Yeah, there was some sort of spy, a T
Getting
spy.
Zoom bombed.
That's right. Zoom bomb. Nice. That's exactly what we thought. Yeah, that's great. So Sherri Anne, we started the second infusion. Have you had a chance to boil some more water? Maybe you can throw that in there and we can see. So what's interesting about a second infusion, guys, is you're gonna have. Hold on, we're just. There we go. Okay, here's Heather. Hello, Heather. So I'm just gonna keep the camera on Heather for a moment here.
Okay.
Sister Speaks camera's not working, so we have her audio but not her visual. Something's going on with her her connection or her computer. So you're on your second infusion? You're just adding the water now? Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And
amazing.
Let me just get that. And it's a 4-minute infusion. Is that what it is?
For the second steep, you're going to add 30 seconds. This is different for every tea. And again, it's just what we try to do is we add we figure out these brew parameters based off of our own preference for taste. And if you've been making crimson teas that like a Qimen style tea your whole life, you're going to have a preference. You're going to be able to see right off the bat if this is a tea that's going to work for you. But for a lot of people, they may be used to one type of tea but not another. And it's really useful to have some kind of sort of flag post in the sand to start from, so you can go like, okay, this is what JagaSilk thinks tastes good. And what are we looking for? Like when we dial in a tea, we want you to be able to taste that initial flavor. We want it to roll over your tongue and have some nice texture. We want to have a finish. And then we also want it to produce what we call a fourth pulse, where like after you've swallowed the liquid, you've enjoyed that finish, you wait a moment, and then there's this kind of wave of flavor that comes and hits you. And that's, to us, is like we've nailed it when we can achieve that. And these settings are supposed to produce that if you have somewhat similar to water to what we're working with.
So that's got to be difficult then too, because you have to get you get your specific tea, and then it's like time to start dialing, like turn in the dials, right? It's like that. We'll do this for 3 minutes. Does that work? Let's turn that up a bit. Like, what about 3:30? Does that work? Let's bring it back down a bit. Like, and I imagine experience speaks to that as well.
Yeah, like there's definitely like, I try not to be like, yeah. So there's a lot of well, there's a lot of exploration, right? So when we bring in a tea, and again, everybody has their own way of making tea, and there's nothing wrong with doing, making tea the way you've always made tea. If you're enjoying it, what's more important than that, right? What I find that's interesting for me is I want to be able to taste the difference between cultivars. So if I get, like a cultivated variety, kind of like a Pinot Noir and a Merlot, right? With tea, like this is a Qimen Chuyazong. There's also like, we've had some beautiful Ambari, Bannockburn from Darjeeling, like two different cultivars from the same farmer. It's kind of interesting in wine to have a Pinot Noir and a Merlot side by side from the same vineyard. Or in apples to have a Granny Smith and a Gala apple side by side. They're both apples, but the cultivar has such a mammoth impact. And to be able to taste the difference between the cultivar, you have to have pretty uniform brewing parameters in place. So there's a very exciting opportunity to explore differences in flavor if you have a uniform brewing parameter, right? But we also want it to taste good. So so we often have to, maybe we cup it that way, but we're going to adjust parameters later to pull out ideal flavors later, if that makes sense, right? And
I can see how you'd be like, we're going to start from one place, and then, as you say, you change things up because you're like, there's a hint of something there. I know. Let's just push that a little bit somehow.
Exactly, and maybe there's going to be something like, I don't know. It's there's like a standard, say, for a particular region. And why does that standard exist? Well, because we want to taste something similar to what, say, the farmers are tasting, right? We want to taste the terroir. But there's also like, anyway, there's a lot of wiggle room over what's right and wrong. But I know that I enjoy drinking tea this way. I find that it's really interesting that as a wholesale supplier, I can sell my tea to people, and if they follow these brewing parameters, there's going to get something fairly similar to what I'm drinking here. And if people buy our tea online and they follow the brewing parameters, they're going to taste what I want them to taste, and then they can totally make their own decisions from there. It's just kind of interesting to be able to it's like a music sheet, you know? You can follow what the music sheet says to produce that sound, but you don't have to be locked into it. You can play. You can go and improvise, right?
There we go. I don't know if you can hear my alarm or not. I'll hold it.
Yeah. That's like a boat. That's like pulling into harbor. That's awesome.
Hang on 1 second. It'll go off again.
Yeah.
I'm still here listening, but I don't think you can see me.
I'm starting to hear you. I couldn't hear you for a little bit there. You perhaps were listening in. I can't see you yet, I don't think. Let me see.
It's my fault. It's my computer. I don't know what happened to it. I had to switch because my phone died.
Ah, okay. That's what happened.
Sorry, I couldn't use it for my live stream either. My computer's acting kind of weird. It's just like I can't access the camera. I don't know.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, it is.
I know.
It's all. So we're glad that you can at least be a part of the dialogue, and that we know that we were seeing you, so we understand what your setup looks like, and that you're hopefully enjoying the teas.
Yes. For now, are you just seeing a bunch of chairs?
Right now,
I am seeing chairs.
Are you seeing chairs?
That's actually in San Diego.
Ooh, very cool.
I can see a bunch of chairs because it's because I have everybody's thumbnails up in the lower part of my screen.
I had quote unquote Heather locked in, but for our viewers, that's the chairs that she's talking about. And now we'll get.
Just standing. That's actually before we played with Air Supply in San Diego at Humphreys.
Nice.
That was like sound check or something.
Very cool. Okay, and Air Supply was continues to have quite the following, but they were quite in their heyday. They were on the radio quite a bit, and you worked with one of their guest keyboardists to record your recent, well, not the live album, but your last studio album, right?
The stand album. Yep, the stand EP. Avli.
Which sounded awesome. Sounds awesome. I encourage our viewers to check out Sister Speak. The Stand, beautiful it's kind of electronic meets acoustic folk meets world music. It's quite an interesting sound that you put together on that album. And your video, geez, YouTube. Everybody needs to go and check this out after. Go to YouTube, look up The Stand. This beautiful imagery of her visit to Peru with a camera crew, and the images and the way that video was put together is just fantastic.
That was a pretty wild trip.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get the water. Thank you for the kind words. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna go get the boiling water.
Sounds good. Beej, we're on second steep.
Yes. And
thoughts? Tasting more, tasting less, thin, bitter, unpleasant, pleasant.
It's so there's not as much tannin anymore.
Okay.
So if I've ruined something in the meantime, who knows? But anyway, it's what's funny is that when I was going off of my first mug, when I got to the very bottom, and then I lift the mug up to try to get the dregs of it, I realized that I could smell in the mug. Like I put the mug down, I'd pick it back up, and I could smell all the kind of roasted yam, that kind of the sweetness was back again. And I'm like, oh, just the bit that's left in the glass is actually really contributing to that. So
oddly enough,
more.
I find that the smell of the cup when I'm done drinking like a really high quality tea, mind blowing. I can just sit there all day smelling the empty cup. I'm such a weirdo, but it's so good. And this is such this is perhaps not the ideal moment in the season to be drinking this tea. It's such a warming tea. I hope you have good air conditioning. Because it's got that very toasted, warming, like it's just really good for relaxing your shoulders, your body, stimulating your circulation, just making you feel pretty darn good and warm, right? On a sort of a spiritual level.
I can definitely agree with that.
Yeah. And then flavor-wise, I had a really interesting tea drinker in here one year. He would fly over from Chicago. He was a dark matter scientist from the Wuyi mountain growing region, and he was doing his thesis in Chicago and working in Switzerland. And he'd fly to Victoria to have tea with us. It was amazing. Anyway, he told us that you can really understand a tea, kind of that third infusion. You know. And the reason why is because instead of tasting the processing, the firing of the tea, you start to be able to taste the raw botanical. You really start to understand. And I started to see that. Like, this second steep is not nearly as rich or thick as that first infusion. It's not as soup-like, right? But there's something really fascinating about kind of stripping back one of those layers of flavor and tasting something a little bit more subtle, right? And crimson teas often taste weaker the second infusion. This Qimen is no different.
Right.
But some oolongs use, actually, the flavor strengthens as you go through. But just the same with some oolongs that do that. Most oolongs do, actually. Maybe when you get to the third or the fourth infusion, you start to strip away the process and you start to taste the botanical. And that's when you can tell if you have a good tea or not. We focus so much on that first steep in North America. I think many times we don't get to truly understand the tea that we're drinking.
Because it's just in the nature of, I've got this bag full of dust and now I'm done using it, so now let's throw it away.
Yeah. Which is, it's unfortunate because I think we're missing out. Oh, we got video back. Sister speak. Hey, how's it going? You want to turn your phone sideways, or are we? Awesome.
Got it going.
Beautiful. Okay, you're upside down. Oh, there you go. Okay, amazing. Okay, so you have your second steep going. We're at
yes.
We're kind of at the limit of our time, I think, with Beej. But I wanted to get your opinion on that second steep there too, Sherri Anne.
It has about, I'm at 2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes. We still good, Beej, or do we need to start saying goodbye?
We're still good. I will give you a heads up. I asked for a 20-minute pushback, and my Meredith, who I'm going to be talking to in a minute, Meredith has said she's okay with pushing the meeting back by 20 minutes.
Okay, awesome.
That's
great.
Okay. So thanks,
we
Meredith.
appreciate you making this time. Thank you, Meredith.
Thank you, Meredith.
Awesome. All right.
I'm getting a lot more of the yam flavor again too, or at least I'm getting something that's a sweetness that does remind me of like sweet potatoes. And for a while I was putting sweet potatoes in my curry.
You're right.
So that's just bringing that memory back up.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Do you get that
Yep.
perfume? Like,
I agree.
Not everybody smells the rose that I smell. Like, when I smell this, I'm like, wow, that reminds me of rose water. Like when I smell rose water.
Right.
Our viewers also thank Meredith, by the way.
There's some.
And I'd like to thank Heather.
Yeah.
Yes. I'd like to thank her too, because I'm busy ruining her desk. I hope she doesn't mind that. But I spilled some stuff on her playmat, but it does not look to have stained it, so I'm pretty happy about that. I do want to mention, because this just reminded me, there is a manga about wine called Kami no Shizuku.
Okay.
So it's Drops of God for anyone else who, at least that's the translation they've gone with. And it's about a guy who is a wine taster he's the son of the most revered wine taster in the world, essentially, who's this Japanese man. And growing up, his dad was like, here, put this in your mouth, and would hand him like a piece of leather. And he'd put that in his mouth. He's like, why am I eating this? Like, I want to just have a meal. And he's like, no, keep this in your mouth for a minute. Okay, now take that out. Okay, cool. Now here, take this, whatever it is. I need you to smell this and like do that, right? He was doing this to his son all this time, and his son never understood why. And when he came of age, he started selling beer because he was like, I don't like wine. I don't like my dad, whatever. He tried wine for the first time, and realized all of these things that his dad had been training him to taste since he was a small child. He could start to taste notes of that everywhere. So when you said not everybody picks up rosewater, I'm like, but roses and rosewater are not a major thing in my life, and I don't think of those things because I don't experience them. But I do know what it's like to because I like to chew on random stuff in my house, and so I used to, when I was a child, I would chew on like a leather belt. It's like if you gave me something that was evocative of like a leather belt,
I actually have a tea for you.
It's not per se that I like the taste of leather, but it was just something I chew on when I was 5. But it's that kind of thing where it's like if you expose yourself to more of those things, like here, try these cocoa beans, try chewing on this juniper bush or whatever. It's like you start to detect all that stuff a lot more.
It's interesting. They have those taster kits where you can actually take out stuff that's been scented to smell like, say, peaches or paint thinner or what have you, and then you identify it, and then the answer's on the opposite side of the card. And those are so interesting, but it's so much more interesting to have that in reality, right?
To
smell and go like, and I love that dialogue. And I'm of the opinion that this is not some sort of special skill that only like elite tasters can build. I think that's ridiculous. I don't even consider myself an elite taster, whatever that means. But I think that it's exactly what you're talking about. It's about exposing yourself to lots of different flavors and then starting to pick up and identify hints of those flavors in different things. And it makes sense on a chemical scientific level too. The compounds, flavor compounds that mix together and produce different alkaloids and flavor aromatics that we're tasting are going to be similar in different foods and drinks. And you're going to have some crossover. And it's fascinating to be able to perceive them and to grow that over time. And I think most people, if you were like, hey, this smells like cane sugar, which I think was one of the smells that we identified in this tea, I think most people know what sugar smells like, and they're going to be able to pick up on that aromatic.
Yeah.
I kind of mostly know what sugar tastes like, though.
Okay.
I don't really know what it smells like.
Because you'd have to you make like a syrup.
I don't really
or
smell
something, and
sugar.
you have to yeah.
Okay.
But I can tell there's something sweet in this,
You know-
in the remnants of my glass. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, true. Okay, let me smell it. Oh, yeah. Now I know what I mean. Yeah. So it has like a syrupy kind of. It's interesting because I think living in the city for a while, the hardest thing for me was the background smell of cars. Like I'd be even at the beach, and it was like this beautiful like ocean breeze, and then in the background, just this constant soot.
Okay. Well, I hope I don't have a tea for you.
No, but I'm just like, wow, like I'm just thinking about like scents, and like it almost like it's interesting growing up in different environments. Like if I'm indoors a lot, or like around a lot of leather belts, or
then you can pick up on these
oh
things.
gosh, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
You can pick up.
You come up with
We have to be careful about how we put things.
Yeah,
right?
that's the phrasings.
Yeah.
It's also.
What I mean is,
Go
forgive
ahead.
me.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, what I mean is like I also like I often will like when I'm walking in the Okanagan, like I'll like smell the pine, like the ponderosas.
Right.
So to me, I like often will like just walk up to a tree and like and like see what the fragrance is of the tree. So that's kind of a familiar tasting and like aroma experience for me. So like this right now reminds me a little bit of like a ponderosa pine bark aroma in the air.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I was also picking up kind of on mulch, like from when I'm gardening, right? So there's like a soil, and that makes it sound horrible. It's like, who wants to drink a tea that tastes like soil? But I think, when I saw flint as a tasting note on a tea taster's wheel, I thought, how will I know what that? Do you need to lick the rock? And I had a staff member who would be like, oh, that reminds me of this particular type of grasshopper. I'm like, I've never eaten grasshopper. I mean, I've had the powder before when I was kind of like being, experimenting with there's this whole thing, right? Like protein from bugs is supposed to be this thing. Anyway, I couldn't, do you need to lick the grasshopper? I don't know, it's interesting. Yeah. But I don't pick it up. I hope that none of my teas taste like grasshopper, but you never know. Yeah. I'm going to go for, if I'm going to put tasting notes together though, I'm probably going to stay away from mulch and dirt and soil, and I'm going to go with cane sugar and yam and,
and rose.
And rose, yeah, and vanilla and all of the above. Keep it really appetizing.
I think
doesn't mean all those other flavors aren't there.
Yeah, well, I think that what's interesting is like I was going in circles and saying the long version. That looks like a great glass that you're drinking there. On the short version would be that growing up on Vancouver Island for a lot of the summers and stuff, like I have a lot of, like you're saying, Beej, like such amazing aromas from the forest and everything. And when I was living, I started to almost forget because I was always battling this soot in the background, and I was so frustrating, like on a daily basis. And then coming home, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like home. And it's because I could just, the aromas were there, like I'm just walking outside in the yard right now in Vancouver Island, and it's like all these different trees. I'm like, wow, the fragrances are actually in the air. This is amazing,
That's interesting. So also the clarity of flavor is only possible if you're not in an environment that's overwhelming your senses. That's a very interesting point, for sure.
I think so. Like it'll be harder for me to identify them, like especially if I spent all my life in LA, and I didn't go out until like a couple hours outside, or like even an hour to like the hills where there's like fresh air.
Right.
You know.
That's really interesting.
You got to get yourself like one of those HEPA filter air purifiers and, you know, make a lockdown room and just be like, I'm going to sit in here for an hour until I can't smell anything. And then smell is such a big component for me, because it's like, I will walk out of my bedroom into my hallway and my house will smell different.
Right.
And and then I'll turn around and walk back in my bedroom and realize that my bedroom is what smells different from the rest of my house. Or I'll be in the hallway of like my apartment complex, of my condo complex, and then turn around and walk back in. It's like, oh, it smells like melons out here. Why? It's really strong melon scent because somebody put like an air freshener up in our hallway. I'll walk back in my condo expecting to smell neutral, and I can smell the ground beef that I fried last night. And I realize I'm like, oh, it's just every part of my house is permeated with some sort of
very
scent
good
that I'm not
point.
recognizing.
Very good point. You need to really extract yourself out of your environment and kind of taste something. If you really want to get very clear tasting notes, probably need to taste it in lots of different environments, because you know, the onion smell, right? We filter it out after a while. It's like this humans are interesting. Hey, we just like filter stuff out. I wonder how much of existence is only visible to us because we've learned to filter out all the chaos, and the senses are definitely a part of that. That's another entire we're kind of needing to wrap up here. But
as we go into the depths,
I do want to have that conversation, but perhaps today is not the day. Beej, do you want to maybe have some final words for our viewers and Sherri Anne and about this tea?
Yeah, it's so predominantly, and probably due to either my fumbling extraction, there was a lot more. There's a lot more tannins in it than I was used to having, and that's probably just due to how I put it all together. But once I got down to the bottom of it, and I'd been drinking a lot of it, and even now that I'm breathing in and I'm like that fourth pulse, as you say, where it's like the remainder of the flavor that's on my tongue, it's like I can taste a bit of that like mountain tuber, you know, that kind of sweet yam or sweet potato. Smelling the mug has been amazing. And I'll just keep kind of being like, oh,
just make the tea, dump out the tea, and just smell the mug. It's all we need to do.
It's happy.
Yeah, it's
happiness.
It's really just kind of this. It was really good, and being able, and I hopefully have a chance to practice more with this, just to see if I can actually get more of what you were talking about out of it. But yeah, definitely a very different experience than just mixing up English breakfast or just even buying like loose leaf green tea at the Japanese grocer or something. That's like having something that actually has some real distinctness rather than just green tea, black tea.
And not everybody knows this, and I don't want to go on a long tangent here, but like paper filters, like that you would say tea into a tea bag, it really homogenizes the flavor, and you don't really get a sense of the identity of the tea, because it sucks the oils, the volatile oils that give us flavor complexity, off of the leaves. It doesn't even allow for that expression to happen. Wow. And it also isn't going to rehydrate. It's also not going to rehydrate properly, because you need it to do this thing called jumping, where it spins with convection currents to properly extract flavor. So tea in a bulbous shaped extraction vessel is going to taste better than something that's straight up and down. Give it at least enough room. Like your brewing vessel had enough room to properly extract. But sometimes people brew in cylinders or in little tea balls or what have you. You don't want to do that. Best tea you're going to make is going to be in a bulbous teapot, but second best is just a cup and a sieve. You just you brew in the cup, pour through the sieve into another cup. It's going to be so much better. And the other thing is, tea is a perishable good. You know, if you go to that grocery store and you buy your tea, a lot of tea in the supermarket is 7 years old. You know, it's just dated. The
7 years?
Yeah. Well, the expiry date is based off of 2 years from receipt, rather than anything to do with the harvest date. Right? So the harvest date is actually pretty important, because that's what's going to give you clear data so that you can make your decisions on how old your tea is. If you just have an expiry date, really production dates are so much more important than expiry dates, because expiry dates are in the eye of the beholder. But sorry, that's a big long tangent. But you know, have that data, know the farmer, know when they grew it, what they grew, and then store it well, and know that Beej, that tea is not going to taste amazing in even a few weeks. 3 or 4 weeks, once you've opened it, you got to go through it. Treat tea like a fine bottle of wine. Would you open up all your wine bottles just so you could taste a little bit? You know, but people do that with tea, and I don't think they should. You got to work with that 3 to 4 week idea. Even in good storage conditions, after you've opened it, I compost all my tea a year after, 18 months after harvest. That's kind of like me not being overly hardcore. But I know that 3 to 4 weeks after I open it, it's not going to give me the same special quality that it had when I first opened it.
And I'm going to make an effort to try to use this as fast as I can, I guess.
Do it. Don't put it on a pedestal. Don't save it for special occasions. You open that tea, you drink that tea.
I like that.
Yeah. So cool.
Yeah.
It's like cereal. Yeah. Don't open 6 boxes of cereal, damn it.
Thank you. I love it.
Oh yeah, right.
Tea is like cereal. Okay.
That's so funny.
Sherri Anne, did you have any words you wanted to say at the end here? As we, sorry, I went and took over from you, Beej. So if you wanted to say anything else,
okay. My sign off then. You can find us at loadingreadyrun.com. That's kind of just. You go there, you can get to the YouTube, you can get to Twitch, you can find our Patreon, you can find we crowdfund. That's how we make the majority of our money. And so we rely upon our viewers to pay for stuff, but you can get all of our stuff for free because that's who we are. We're like, if you got to watch it and like it, and then you'll know whether you think it's worth a few bucks a month.
And you have a Patreon, correct?
We do have that Patreon, yeah. Patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. And there's 13 employees at this company.
Wow.
Like it started off years ago as like 2 people and then some friends get involved and just doing whatever. And now it's like, I have just set up direct deposit. I recently just got supplemental health care for all of our employees. Like this is a business.
Amazing. Amazing. Good for you guys. Yeah, that's a good moment. Hey, supplemental health care. We use Chamber of Commerce. And Chamber of Commerce has a really good plan. 80% coverage. It's great. Even covers root canals.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Check out Loading Ready Run. They do the Desert Bus project as well. Thank you, Beej, for coming on. Huge appreciation. Patreon, by the way, Serge is the one that taught me about how Patreon works. And he, I think, and then I've actually shared that with Sherri Anne. So, Sherri Anne, if you want to say your exit here too.
Oh, that's so cool, Beej. I'm gonna check it all out. I actually, I've checked some of it out when Jared was on the show, and I also. Before he was on the show, I saw it as well, which is like in California, which is awesome. Really, really cool what you got going on.
One of the many projects at Loading Ready Run.
Yes, right. I'll have to check all of them out. And so Jared actually created my Patreon page for me, like originally, like just the basic, and then I actually designed the whole thing, and finished it. And it's basically been the most sustainable piece throughout this whole shift. I don't know if I'd be able to like cover things without it. So the Patreon's been amazing. And I just started it up in the fall and then really in March. So it's patreon.com/sisterspeak. There's a live stream every Thursday at noon, and then other things throughout the month. You get like a free album or vinyl for certain tiers. So it's been really fun, and the tea I always drink tea on the show, and we have a guest, and then it's dance party at the end.
So crazy, awesome show. You should check it out. Patreon.com/sisterspeak. So thank you to you both, Beej from Loading Ready Run, and Desert Bus, Sherri Anne from Sister Speak. Really appreciate your time today. Drinking this Qimen Chuyazong by Mr. Feng. Really very skilled farmer. I'm big fan of this tea. This tea basically blew my mind when I was drinking it. I was like, roses! Ah! So I'm really happy I was able to share it with you.
I forgot to say that I love the tea, and I also I really dug just all the flavors. This is a very complete flavor structure.
Amazing. Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Sherri Anne. Thank you, Beej. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you, Meredith, for your patience.
Thank you, Heather.
Heather, for your camera. Everybody that's been involved in today's show, huge appreciation. Thank you to our viewers. Thank you, guys. I will say a sign off after I let you go here. But power to you on your day today, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much. Okay. Bye. Just going to go to my screen. It's interesting being my own producer of my show because I have to control all the stuff and make it work and not get too distracted. But anyway, thank you very much for watching today. Really appreciated it. I saw a lot of chat, like a lot of involvement in the chat room today. Huge appreciation there. Really great conversation with Beej. You can check out the Qimen Chuyazong. It should be on our webpage next week. This was a special pre-release sort of cupping where we were able to talk about it, and I hope you do bring it on. I'm going to make a coupon code for this. We're going to call it a Loading Ready Run, and that will be 10% off of a purchase of the Qimen Chuyazong. So yeah, if you want to put in Loading Ready Run, all one word, that coupon, I'll make it good until the end of September. So if you're watching the archived version of this show, you should be able to purchase that way as well. So thank you very much. Sherri Anne from Sister Speak, always on every week. Oh, that was a rhyme. Very, very fun to have you on. And thank you to our viewers. See you next week, Thursday, 1 p.m., JagaVision, episode 23. We will have we will have John, the owner of Picnic here in Victoria. He's going to be on the show, and we're going to be drinking some really beautiful matcha together. You can also join us the following week, where Vivek and Neha of the Doak Estate in India will be joining us live from India. So looking forward to that happening. You have yourselves a fantastic day. Thank you for watching, I think, one of the longest episodes in JagaVision history. Thanks so much for tuning in. See you next week. Thank you. Goodbye.